Ready over here? All right, let's stand, please. Pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I think it's very important for us all to remember what happened about 70 years ago, 75 years ago, D-Day. So please keep in mind all those men and women that sacrificed so that we could be here tonight. All right, you may be seated. All right. The only announcement I have is that I wish to, if we could send a note to the Department of Transportation and thank them for patching the holes in the sides of the road on Blue Ridge Road. I think that was, they did an excellent job on that. And also filling in on the road where we had patched before and didn't do such a good job. And so they smoothed it out. But it would be nice if you could send them just a short note, please.
Hopefully they're gonna patch the one by the school. In the morning, I don't know if any of you have actually hit that one yet or not.
Yes. All right. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the council, all council members have a duty to conduct the affairs of the governing body in an open and public manner, free of conflicts of interest. Is there any item on the agenda that the outcome of which will have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any council member, his or her family, or close business associates?
No.
Does any council member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before the council today?
No.
There being none, all council members have a duty and an obligation to vote. All right, Richard.
We have no proclamations or anything tonight, so we'll move into the third section of the agenda. Your first item is a report from your Active Mobility Commission. I don't know who's here to make that.
I think she may be in the overflow room, so.
I'll need to go get her then.
Yeah, if you step in there.
Okay, thanks.
We have a different presenter.
He's
He's coming, all right.
Sorry for my tardiness. I was kind of in the overflow room. We got quite the crowd here. I'll try to keep it brief for everyone. And first of all, thank you, council members and mayor, for letting me speak today. And then a big thank you to Russell Kate.
And you are?
My name, I was going to get that to next, yeah. And a big thank you to Russell Kate and Jennifer Tifton, just because they're at every single meeting we put together. They're a great resource for us, and they're absolutely lovely people. My name is Jeremy Clays, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Active Mobility Commission here in Black Mountain. One of the things that I'm here to bring to attention is just some of the work that we've done already on the commission, and I've kind of run through the council a little bit, and then also for an ask at the very end. Across our community, there are gaps in pedestrian connectivity, and residents may encounter roads without sidewalks, intersections without crosswalks, narrow shoulders, and stretches where walking is unsafe. As a committee, we came together and asked the DOT to come to one of our meetings to present to them some of the gaps that we see in connectivity. And one of the major ones was around the I-40 interchange and how there are vision impaired bumps, but lead you to a crosswalk that doesn't exist. And anyone that's tried to cross that section of town, it is very, very difficult, either to get from our only grocery store currently, Ingles, or full service grocery store I should say, into downtown, or from downtown to Ingles. The DOT was very receptive with our ask, and we are hopeful to get some crosswalks because of that conversation with them. Because it's a DOT-controlled roadway, obviously it's part of the town, but it's not exactly something that you all get to decide on, which is a bit unfortunate. But that's okay. Hopefully we're going to get some traction. The need that I'm kind of bringing to you at this point in time is still a lack of feeling of accessibility in and around town, but specifically south of I-40 into the downtown area. As I highlighted before, there's sidewalks, but then there's not crosswalks across two of our most busy intersections in town. Therefore, as a result, it's really hard to get to and from town. The hope is that when the DOT comes back, they're going to approve crosswalks and it'll improve mobility from town to the Ingles grocery store. But what we are proposing today, and something that we're really interested in pursuing, is a bit of a pedestrian pathway ideal. And the first stretch that we've kind of identified is from Ingles to the YMCA in Cheshire Village. As of now, there's a sidewalk that leads out of Ingles all the way to the Blue Ridge Assembly Road and then kind of dies there. There's still a crosswalk there and there's still vision impaired pads that kind of highlight that that is a crosswalk, but there's nothing that kind of continues. So we're really support and advocate for bike and pedestrian connectivity throughout our wonderful community. This includes what we have as vision is kind of identifying some pinch points, in the system that could potentially be remedied without much cost or almost zero cost. We hope that a town-wide network of kind of these pedestrian pathways can be established and can be a very low cost or no cost to the town of Black Mountain is our hope. We would love to kind of work with the council with this approach. We've explored these pedestrian corridors as an initiative to a practical and cost-effective solution. These corridors would create a connecting network of pedestrian routes throughout Black Mountain using a variety of context-sensitive solutions. Depending on the location, these could include pedestrian paths, enhanced shoulders, marked crossings, traffic calming measures, greenway connections, increased signage, reduced speed limits, and other improvements that support safe pedestrian pathways. Rather than waiting years for major sidewalks or funding to occur, we would like to have a proactive approach that allows us to make meaningful progress in phases while preserving the character of our community and making the best use of our available resources. From what I could find on the internet, it seems like a mile of sidewalk costs anywhere from $500,000 to $1.5 million today. And the way that we viewed it is the town doesn't have this money, and if it did have the money, it would probably be going to projects that maybe have a little higher importance. As a first step, the committee has kind of identified a potential corridor connecting the Ingles store and the YMCA. What makes this opportunity particularly compelling is that many residents already use this informal path through private property to travel between these destinations. The demand already exists, the connection is already being made. Tonight, we are asking for the council's support to begin conversations with the affected property owners and stakeholders to explore whether a formal pedestrian trail connection may be possible. This is a modest first step, but it represents a type of partnership and practical problem solving that can help create a more connected Black Mountain. So essentially the ask is we're having today is because we are a committee within the town of Black Mountain, we would like to begin informal talks with the property owners through where this informal path would take place. We're hoping to connect the dots from essentially the intersection of Highway 9 and Blue Ridge Road through the church that Lakey Gap Creek runs behind, and then through the apartment complex to Cheshire Village. We believe Cheshire Village does have an interest in this as well, just because they are isolated from town. They have a great network of trails, they have the YMCA, they're building a really strong community there, but there is no way for people to safely get from point A to point B. And our ask is to begin to have just some informal conversations to see what kind of solutions we could come up with that would be a low cost and or no cost to the town of Black Mountain. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good, well, appreciate it, Jeremy. A couple of things. Number one, back when this was the Greenway Commission, that was one of our projects that just kind of just fell by the wayside and was always promised to be done, but just never got done. So you're talking about from Blue Ridge Road to Cheshire of going closer to the creek as opposed to a sidewalk on beside number 9. Is that correct, or are you looking at either way?
That is correct, yeah.
Okay.
The thought being is that there's just not any room for a sidewalk along that stretch. And kind of like I said earlier, a sidewalk, even connecting that quarter mile, is probably going to be $500,000. And we just feel like that is going to be a really long time for us to be able to achieve that. Whereas we're trying to explore really low cost options, that this could maybe be stage 1 for a grander network of pedestrian corridors. Now, whether it be less traveled streets that are a bit more pedestrian friendly or pedestrian pathways like this, the idea is just to begin to explore what this could look like for the town.
So more
Good.
of a footpath approach.
More of a footpath approach, yeah. We kind of consider them pedestrian corridors because, we'd like people to be able to ride their bikes if they'd like to. But for the first step, this would be a footpath. And probably what we were looking to do would be very similar to the trails that are involved throughout Cheshire Village, which is just a really simple mulch trail.
Yeah. Or like we have at the lake, which is rock dust around there, so that it can pack and that then you have it, it's available for the use by wheelchairs. And,
Sure.
whereas mulch would be a little bit tougher. Keep in mind when you're approaching the DOT on this, that, they're probably going to be, at least what we've been told, is going to be a roundabout at Blue Ridge and number 9. So that sidewalk that now is in front of Tyson's warehouse would probably have to extend out Blue Ridge and then go across to be able to get around that roundabout, because it'd be hard to design something through the center of the road, the roundabout. Let me ask a question on, have y'all been working at all, or is that just on hold, the 2-part Greenway project going from Ole's to Montreat College, out Vance Avenue?
Yeah, in terms of what the commission's worked on, we've talked about the Flat Creek Greenway and trying to figure out where the plat lines are to kind of repair some of the Flat Creek Greenway, but the commission's reach isn't that far or strong, so to say. So we don't have the ability to fund a greenway or begin those talks, and everything that we do in terms of new business is really supposed to be run through you all.
Right.
So yeah,
But we look forward to you coming to us to go ahead and present. The reason I mentioned this thing about this greenway going, because it's been going on for over a decade, and because of the hurricane, and because of the fact of Fontaflora trails coming in through and into the edge of town, we got a great opportunity here to partner with them so that we could go underneath US 70 at Ole's and then come out the other side. And then be able to, because we'll probably get that land where the 3 rest homes were from FEMA. That would be a great way just to get us under the railroad and connect to our existing greenway there at the dog park. So I just throw these out as ideas to be thinking about to come back to us on.
Yeah, I think there's been lots of talk, whether it's the HB 547, I can't exactly remember the name of the project,
Yeah.
but it seems like that is a project that's going to take years, if not decades, to even begin.
Yeah.
So what we're looking for is a little bit more of a real-time, faster solution that would be more of a budget-friendly option for us to begin trying to work on safe connectivity and kind of immediate relief to some of these issues. We've definitely talked about the Greenway, and we've had the Friends of Falana Flora Trail into the committee and discussed it with them. But everything still seems really up in the air to how the Fauna Flora Trail is going to enter the community. And we haven't really gotten a straight answer to how it comes through, how it connects, and even how it,
Well, at this point, it's just gonna come to the edge of town, down the north side of the interstate, on old US 70. That's where it's gonna come from Ridgecrest down. And of course, then again, that's why I would like to see if Fauna Flora Trail, that I'm on that committee, that we could go ahead and work with y'all. You mentioned this HB thing. Most of that is gonna be on the east side of the river.
I'm gonna interrupt just a second. It's EB 5547 A and B.
Thank you.
Yes, so your A section is what is actually gonna run from Flat Creek along the sidewalks, come down, Jefferson River, Mike. Come down Richardson to Sutton. You will have section improvements there. B will go from Vance Avenue to Terry Estate. So that project is in the works. That is formerly the Riverwalk Greenway. So that's probably, if you've been around, that's how you would have known it as. But that project is in the works. Section B, I believe, is the furthest along, because that is the smallest section. A is still in a design phase, because we did have to move that bus stop, and they are working on the intersection improvements at this point. So as we continue to get updates on that project, we will let you all know. But in terms of that project, I just wanted to make sure we got the right name and description out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I think this is really exciting. I appreciate y'all being budget conscious and looking at, what are the creative options that we have available to us. I would be curious to see, it kind of sounded like you alluded to, there's kind of an informal footpath that perhaps already is being utilized at times through there. I don't know if that's something that y'all have mapped or could share in some format with us, perhaps just to the council email. Did you have a response?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I think either I can map it out, and I took some drone footage as well, but I think it's just a little bit tenuous to kind of like show at a meeting like this, but I can definitely share that with the council of kind of the proposed footprint of where it goes. The last couple of times I've walked it myself, there have been other people doing the same thing. And it seems like it's a pretty easy and well-traveled path already, just to kind of avoid the windy stretch of 9 as it runs from the intersection of Assembly and 9 up to Dogwood, which is at the corner of where Cheshire Village begins.
It's always sensitive approaching property owners about if they'd like to participate in something like this, but I think it is an exciting opportunity. I'm curious what other folks have to say.
Anyway, I think it's good. I hope you'll follow through. One other thing, and this, since we're on the subject here, because you're talking about wise use of land and not spending so much dollars, that I would hope that maybe, not this meeting, but in the future, we could, Richard, you could come back with us with the help of Brian there to go ahead and have a formal adoption of a regulation for our town such that anybody that goes ahead and comes in and does any type of right-of-way work on the sides of roads, whether it's our town, whether it's the state, whether it's whoever, Duke Power, whether it's the gas company, that when they repair that road and bring it back to its original condition, that they do so with an aggregate base that could handle foot traffic. Because the most expensive thing in getting work done is mobilization. And while they're there, even if it meant that we have to contribute a little bit for traffic bond or gravel, I think we could be adding not large increments, but small amounts of walkable trails beside the roads.
Yeah, and this is kind of something that this exact kind of pedestrian corridor would hopefully identify solutions like that.
Yeah.
The research I've done is there have been some cities that have kind of adopted this sort of mentality, and trail systems have, where The idea of a strictly paved greenway is one philosophy behind a greenway, and another thought is just to make connections. And what
Exactly.
we're hyping to do is to make safe connections. And as someone that also runs on Blue Ridge Road, every once in a while, I would love to see shoulders being a little more utilized and paved.
I just
And
ran it today and had to get off 8 times.
I bet. In terms of our work in the commission, I can follow through with sending a little bit more of an idea to the council in terms of where this proposed pathway would go through. Is there any other ask that you have before we kind of get to the thumbs up, thumbs down decision, whether we kind of proceed with this?
Well, I don't think it's gonna take a vote at the council. I just think just the encouragement from the council is,
Sure.
that's how I'm doing.
Awesome. If we have your blessing, then we do
Very
appreciate it, and we'll try to follow through and follow up. Thank you for
It's
your
been a long
time
time
today.
since 1994 when we started the Greenway Commission.
Yeah, I bet I have some old maps that kind of spell out where we were hoping to go, and where we are now, unfortunately, isn't really near that point. So the hope is to kind of revive some of this interest in safe travel throughout town, and hopefully find a way to make it in a budget-friendly way.
Sounds good. Jeremy, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thanks to you and
much.
your colleagues on the commission.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
The next item is a presentation on the proposed golf maintenance building. As you know, Mosley Architect, I was here about a few months ago. We sent it back and asked for some revised plan for a smaller size and something that would more fit our needs. So they've done that job, so they're here this evening to present that proposal to you and some projected cost estimates for the project. So I'll turn it over to McGill and Mosley.
Good evening, again. Again, my name is Kevin McDade with Mosey Architects.
I'm Ulrich Garrison with McGill Associates.
So I'm obviously the architect and engineer representing, and Ulrich is representing the civil engineer. As Richard Hicks explained, we started this project, I don't know, late last fall, I think. We sent out a questionnaire to the town and to the golf course personnel. You know, they filled out their needs, what their needs were. We reviewed that, came up with kind of like a program of spaces. And of course, when we do these needs, this is a wish list. You know, it tends to be pretty high. So we take that, you know, and make a program of spaces. And of course, that program of spaces is broken out into square footage, which case we can then, you know, apply just kind of like a budget estimate to it. And I think we even did a couple of plan options for it. As Mr. Hicks noted, you know, it was pretty large. So we came back, met here maybe in February, sound about right? To find out what the real needs were, you know, what we could reduce this thing down to. So we kind of came up with a plan, you know, here. We had, I think, original program, 2 or 3 pull-through vehicle bays. We had several storage areas, workrooms, offices, conference rooms, break rooms, you know, toilet showers. So we kind of, you know, dwindled that down. So we had this one pull-through bay and a half bay here. As for their, you know, trucks and trailers, storage areas. You know, we got the shop. You know, chemical storage, then we kind of reduced the office area to just, you know, an office and break room area versus multiple office rooms, you know, conference break room, to get the square footage kind of down to where it could be. Reviewed, you know, the materials in there, so, you know, kind of hard walls around the shop where they're actually going to be doing, you know, some stuff that might bang the walls, so we want, you know, abuse-resistant walls. We talked about the mechanical systems, you know, wrote up a narrative, talked about mechanical, the lighting, the finishes. Nothing extravagant, you know, it's pretty much for the most part concrete, you know, and paint on the walls. The break room and office have LVT. The toilet shower has ceramic tile, just, you know, for waterproof issues. But nothing extravagant, you know, some lay and ceiling tiles in the office area, and everything else is just, you know, exposed structure. This is designed as a pre-engineered metal building. So we're looking at, you know, it's a steel bent frame structure. If you're familiar with them, you see them a lot of times for warehouses. Exterior veneer is just be metal panel, and it's bad insulation on the roofs and walls. So it's about as cheap as construction as we can do for commercial buildings. You know, we started off with several different sites. If Art want us to talk about the sites for a second?
Yeah, so we looked at 3 different sites and landed on, sorry, this one right here off of Tomahawk Avenue. There is, I'm not sure which.
Explain that a little bit more, because I was having,
Yeah, I couldn't get where you
I
are.
couldn't figure out where we are.
So-
I don't know where we are.
So that's what I was about to say. I'm not exactly sure which hole this is, but this is right off of Tomahawk Avenue, and there is an existing bathroom in that location. And
Kind of sitting up on that little knoll.
So we're,
Before
this,
the Green Tea Grill if you're heading north.
Yes.
Thank you.
so this is on the knoll with the bathroom.
Technically, that
yes,
becomes
right beside the
Hiawassee.
bathrooms, that's correct.
Yeah, it is that one.
It's, yeah.
Obviously, we'll have the driveway there and got a water connection, water tap, and then sewer service connection that we're showing. We're currently showing an underground detention facility for stormwater, just as a placeholder. We can look at other options, obviously, once we get into the design of it, but that's essentially the site right
Did
there.
you look at the corner of, right where Bird Inman Road is, and 9th Street and Laurel?
I don't recall the exact location.
That's where we have, right now, we have 2 areas there where we store sand and where we store traffic bond.
So the last one we looked at is just east of this, and I forget which road that
Probably
is
is
called, but that's where the existing building was. It was destroyed.
Yeah.
So we were looking at putting it in that location, and then, if I remember correctly, the other location was near hole 17.
Right,
Okay.
down below.
But Mary, I think when you're talking about, there's some drainage issues, because there's like a little, I don't know that you can even call it a creek, a spit.
Well, yeah, but it's in the back part of that. I've stepped it off, and there's 100 by 100 in this building here, which is less than 100 by 100. Anyway, this is at the head of Bird
recommended-
Inman Road. The
This
road
is
that
the
would
spot
go down
recommended by
to
staff.
the building that was damaged in the hurricane.
Okay.
Anyway, continue on.
Well,
I
that's,
was gonna say this was, let's see, Brent's recommended site also,
Okay.
or his preferred site.
It is more central.
That's the second green up above.
That's true.
okay. Okay. I got you. Thank you.
And right above it is the parking lot, right?
Yes.
That's essentially it. If you have any site-related questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
It's interesting, I never considered that to be a site, but that ties in pretty well.
I think it became really a consideration when we were looking at utilities, since the existing bathrooms there.
Yeah.
We knew we had water and sewer
Yeah.
to tie into versus
Yeah.
looking at, septic systems or having to do it more off-site.
Well, that space where the bathroom is, it's, it's not, it really doesn't, well, it has a bathroom. Outside of the bathroom, it really doesn't function for anything on the golf course. It's, if your ball went in there, you would throw it out.
Yeah, because when we were looking at the corner site, I think it was green 17 you mentioned, we would actually have had to relocate the green
Would you?
to finish, get it up in there.
Yeah.
So that became kind of more cost effect, imperative, and that's when, this site, became an option.
I can understand why Brent would have recommended that. Makes sense to me. How far up does it go up the hill there? Because it's set, the bathroom's sitting there, another.
You're
50
pretty much at the top of the hill there with that building
So the
location.
bathroom, let's say the back wall of the bathroom, it wouldn't go much beyond that? Wow.
Yes. I mean, the way they got it drawn here is completely behind the bathroom. The
I'm
bathroom.
sorry, I thought he was referencing elevation is about the same elevation. They're both at the high point there.
How much further back does this proposed building go beyond where the bathroom sits?
Okay.
Probably 40 feet, just given the parking spaces, looking at it.
Yeah.
Start of the building, and then that's the building width back beyond that.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact.
That's okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just pulling dimensions from the parking spaces there.
Square feet in the building?
3,700 is what he's got listed here.
So, I wonder how many square feet were in the old one that was destroyed?
I don't know.
I'm not sure of that.
Yeah, but Brent, anyway, this is staff recommendation, so.
Correct.
Thank you. I mean, Brent had a very active role.
Right.
I mean, the last design of.
Right,
And just so you guys know, the other building is about 5,000 square feet, so this is quite a bit smaller, but the way it's laid out, we don't need as much space.
right, right.
Thank you, Brian. And it looks like some land contouring here
That's correct.
on the south side.
That
Is that,
correct.
I don't know that I'm reading this right, is that to elevate the building or,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, there's gonna be some fill required for the site.
So, I mean,
Now, Brent, you're seeking additional funds also for that application.
Yeah, about 1.5 million, through the lift grant.
right. Are you looking for any action from council?
I mean, if you want to move forward, the next step would be to start the actual design of the building.
For this spot?
Yes, sir.
I would
You
make,
got cost estimates, but you really want to know what your cost is till you design it.
right, right.
Bids.
This is pretty high, $270 a square foot. It's pretty darn high for a metal building.
To be honest, it's actually on the low end for some of the building buildings I've done recently.
Well,
I've seen it's
I'm not saying that
5,000.
it's not a comparison to something
Exactly.
else.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the buildings that I've been associated with lately, this is
Yeah.
pretty high.
I mean, unfortunately, construction has just gone through the roof the past 5-6 years.
Sure. So if council, proceeded with the design, are we committed, what sort of funds are we committed
And you got $1 million from the state grant. As you can tell, that's going to be significantly short, but with that application, that is depending, we think we'll have enough funds.
Was that included in the 170 design?
Total project would be about 1.9, but I guess they have some funds, so.
No, I'm looking at your
He's-
detail where you have architectural and engineering
Oh, yeah.
services. That design is included in that.
Yes, that would be for design and what we call construction administration.
Yeah.
So it'd be our full services from this point forward.
Right, right.
Yeah, from start to
So
finish.
we have funds to proceed with design.
Yes, that portion of it, if that's what you want to do.
Well, I would make a motion that we proceed with design of this
Yeah, but are you-
recommended site.
Are you saying that we're going to go and commit $170,000?
No, that's their total estimate for.
I know, but what are we going to limit it to?
Yeah, we can
I
break
mean, we're
up
just,
that.
from what I hear you say, your motion, it's open-ended. And there's
Well,
no.
I'm open to discussion on it, but I'm making a motion that we proceed, and we need some direction on the cost of proceeding with design.
Yeah, we would break our fee out for the design portion, the bidding portion, and the construction administration portion.
Right.
So you can choose to what point.
Right, so what would design be, or do you need to come back to us?
I would have to look, but typically, design's going to be roughly 65% of that. Construction administration is usually
Almost
around
$100,000.
30%, and bidding is about 5%.
Right,
That's typically what it is.
right,
Yeah, but I need to go back and look at my numbers to verify that.
well, so I guess we need to get the firm numbers.
Yeah,
and
we
then
can do that.
we'll,
And it may have been broken out. I'll have to check. I know I have the numbers.
so,
If I may, Brent, do we have a date that we anticipate hearing back about that additional funding?
So July 15th is when the second phase of application closes.
Okay.
So we'll have one turn in, my opinion. And then we'll have to do an on-site presentation and an in-person presentation to their board in August. We don't find out until September if we're awarded
I
funds
see.
or not. And we have a great application. We're basically exactly what they're looking for, but there is no guarantee in this. So,
Sure.
right.
Sure.
Well, the mayor's right, it's kind of hard for us to proceed if we don't know what the cost is, what the
Yes.
design is.
Yeah, I can forward those numbers tomorrow.
Thank you.
So I take it you're not making a motion to do
No,
that?
I'll withdraw that.
Okay. I think that whether you agree to it tonight or not, but I think it'd be good to get a competitive design or building, someone to come in, even if they just looked at this design and give us a price, like Cooper Construction out of Hendersonville.
I don't think you have enough to get prices.
Well, at least get, anybody else got any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right, we got citizen comment. Okay, we've got 8 folks. Oh, she wants to wait for the second one, okay. Melinda Hester.
Good evening, council. I am Melinda Hester. I'm a property owner and a resident of 404 Curly Heights Road in Black Mountain. And I'm here to quickly, in my 3 minutes, address 2 different issues. First, I attended the Bear information meeting that was held recently at the library, and I am very much in favor of the town beginning to investigate some type of legislation that will give enforcement teeth to taking care of penalizing monetarily people who feed bears, people who do not keep their trash up. I would like to see legislation that requires restaurants and any other open for public business establishment to have locks on their trash receptacles outside, and also monetary penalties for those. We had a great discussion that evening. I think we came away with 12 recommendations that I hope the mayor will share later down in the agenda, but we had a great meeting, and I hope the council will entertain some of those items that we discussed. The second reason I'm here is to express my support for the town of Black Mountain Fire Department. They've received some pretty bad press recently, and having personally witnessed what those people did after the hurricane, I continue to be in awe of all of them. I don't think we need to shortchange what they do. I don't think we need to give them less than proper quality t-shirts or personal flotation devices from some other store, neither of which meet the stated requirements. And Mr. Mayor, I'm very disappointed that you chose to share that in a public forum on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. Is Mary married here, or is she in the other room?
Good
You
evening.
got 3 minutes.
I'm Mary Merritt from Loma Way in Black Mountain. I'm the chaplain of the Harold C. Enlow Lodge Number 1 Fraternal Order of Police, and you have been emailed a letter of support from our lodge, and I have a copy if you need it. I am retired with 32 years of service with North Carolina Division of Corrections, and 28 of those with community corrections. Yes, our officers need to be compensated well for the work they do and the trauma they endure. I have been a part of emergency deployment in eastern North Carolina for hurricanes, in Haywood County for tropical storms, and I say with confidence and gratitude to our police, fire, and EMS. They were phenomenal during and after the storm of Helene, and I support them. Police leadership here maintains and recently received renewal of the accreditation
from the League of Municipalities here in North Carolina. This is about reduction of risk and liability to the town and the department through sound policy and procedures. And they've successfully done that. With that being said, we have to support them to carry out their duties with good equipment that is needed. A huge part of the support includes a safe and secure office which allows and supports emergent response times, secure and safe space for interviews of victims, witnesses, and suspects, secure evidence tracking and storage, secure storage and tracking of the tools needed to perform law enforcement duties, and provide safe police department access to our community. These spaces are important for meetings and trainings, briefings, debriefings. It is also a space that allows confidentiality for the support of our officers and their well-being. Just a meal, peer support, even a biological break. It will provide a few minutes out of the fishbowl of the patrol vehicle, the sidewalk, or the incident scene. It is important to understand our officers have chosen to work here in Black Mountain. Some grew up here, some came through the cadet program, and some from other agencies. They wanted to be here. We need you to take action to support our officers and their ability to perform assigned duties. We need you to help our police department recruit and retain quality employees by treating them well.
Very good. That's your 3 minutes.
Help the police by helping us keep safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Galloway.
David Galloway, 103 Brookhaven Drive. I'm here on behalf of my fellow residents for the adoption of our street. We were first on the agenda 3 months ago. It was delayed and you gave staff a homework assignment to review the policy and come back. We were recommended 3 months ago. After they came up with a revised policy, we're still recommended. And so hopefully you guys are ready to do the right thing today. I think it'd be somewhat insulting to give staff busy work and then ignore the recommendations twice in a row. Part of that recommendation of acceptance from Public Works and Fire Marshal is that our street was properly constructed to code. It doesn't have repair needs at the moment. It's in good shape. And in fact, neighborhoods like ours of good density, people living and working in Black Mountain are revenue positive for the town because that neighborhood has exponentially increased the tax base that you guys collect from property taxes. So with that said, not just for us, but other neighborhoods in the pipeline, such as Paget Place and Brooks Cove, will probably be following a similar procedure soon. They're also good density. They also increase taxes. And so we just want to be accepted as part of the town, and we think it should be the inevitable conclusion of neighborhoods when they are properly constructed in town limits. You don't have to adjust city limits. And then they're, just an everyday street like you'd see anywhere else in town. They become part of the town's infrastructure. So anyway, later you'll have, I think, a presentation on that policy. And I think, as far as I can tell, reading the agenda, it'll conclude with a recommendation to accept our street. And hopefully you're ready to do that now.
Okay. Thank you, David. Lisa Raleigh.
Thank you. I'm Lisa Raleigh. I'm a resident and property owner here, and this is sort of building for the past 21 Dyer Drive. Building for the past year, and instead of just sitting at home amongst myself, I thought I would show up and participate in our community. We're so lucky to live in Black Mountain. Our little town of 8,500 residents sits in an unrivaled geographic setting of nature and beauty. thriving with multitudes of businesses, and artists and restaurants and breweries. Unbeknownst to me until recently, I didn't realize Black Mountain is recognized as the first certified entrepreneurial community in the entire United States. Not to mention our dedicated and capable emergency and town services. I marvel that this is a place where you can pick up the phone and call someone in the sanitation department and they call you back. Yet somehow since Helene, it feels like we're intent on tearing our community apart at the seams. There's a marketing adage that says build on peaks, not valleys, but we seem to be groveling and wrestling in the valleys. Like all Western North Carolina communities, we're going to be facing budget pressures and shortfalls for a few years post-Helene. But we have a thriving economic base that can overcome that. And yes, people are going to make mistakes, both town staff and others. But how we get to solutions is either going to be our proudest moment or our complete undoing. I implore our town staff, electeds, business community, and service providers to link arms and work together. Please channel your inner Brené Brown and assume good intentions, lead with kindness and compassion, and bring people together, not tear them apart. You can die on the sword of being right, but as any parent can tell you, that isn't a desired position because you will kill every relationship along the way with that approach. Please have a paradigm shift across the board and see this as a fabulous opportunity to build on all of our peaks and keep Black Mountain the incredibly special community it is. And I beg all of you to please stay off of social media and rather collaborate, resolve, and advance solutions through in-person, real-time relationships using professionalism, decency, and kindness so that little Black Mountain can rock on.
Next up, Weston Hall.
Weston Hall, 100 Portman Villa. I wish I didn't have to go after that. That was really good. So Black Mountain Fire Department has always had a special place in my heart. They are an incredible organization. During COVID, they were there for us. And no matter the danger, I don't know if people still remember that, but when everybody else was in Tyvek suits and these big masks, Black Mountain Fire Department had these little dust covers, and they were still responding to us. And we didn't pat them on the back. Everybody else in the county got compensation, and we gave compensation to people that were serving in their jammies. Yes, they were serving, and that is great during that time, but Black Mountain Fire Department and the police were all showing up when the rest of us were running scared. And that to me is amazing. We have some of the finest chiefs. They're not getting compensated in this budget, and they should. Chief Parker is one of the top in the state. Chief Coffey is one of the top in the state, and they need to be compensated. Our firefighters need a place. Mayor Sobel, if on that 8th time you had not gotten out of the way, then Black Mountain Fire Department would be the one thing that you would be screaming about. And you would have said, you would not have said, I want a better golf course. You would have said, I want a faster, more capable, well-trained fire department. I promise you, the golf course would not be on your mind. Thank you.
Next up is John, and I can't read the last name. There's like an R-L-E-L-E. Okay, if he by chance shows up, then I'll recognize him. Ah, John Richardson. Sorry, didn't.
Bad penmanship.
And that boat with you, John, don't feel bad.
I will say, I was in church a few weeks ago, sitting, and we saw a cloud of smoke. I saw it I didn't know what was going on, and it kept coming behind the pulpit, and it made me uncomfortable. Turns out it was a brush fire that had developed on the edge of the church, and Weston was one of the ushers that day, and I had a feeling that he went out, and I saw a big cloud of smoke, and he went out with a fire extinguisher while the church was full of people, so thank you, Weston. So John Richardson, 111 Church Street. Good evening, Mayor and members of Town Council. Thank you for your service. I think it's important to begin by stating the obvious. Operating a business or a town through Hurricane Helene is difficult. What makes either situation even more difficult is receiving bad professional advice. Last week, Larry Harris described the town's budget as poorly constructed. Those are words nobody wants to hear from their accountant, especially when we're now facing a budget shortfall that approaches $3 million. One of the most important lessons my father ever taught me was simple. When you make a mistake, you own it. When your decisions hurt someone, you look them in the eye and apologize, and then you work as hard as you can to make things right. Today, I'm delivering my second lawsuit against the town to you. I hope each of you read each and every word of it. I take no satisfaction in this. The town has already acknowledged mistakes were made. The question now is not whether mistakes occurred. The question is what happens next. Do we continue spending taxpayer dollars and staff members' valuable time defending avoidable decisions, or do we focus on solutions? One place to start is with the town's legal strategy. At a time when we're discussing budget cuts, utility shortfalls, and a future public safety building, every dollar matters. This council should conduct a thorough review of legal expenditures and legal strategy for the town to determine whether taxpayers are receiving the value they deserve. A recent open records request shows that the town has currently paid close to $200,000 for its part-time attorney over the last 12 months. More importantly, the town needs advisors whose primary objective is solving problems, reducing risk, and helping Black Mountain move forward, not billing hours. Good attorneys keep their clients out of lawsuits. Being a bully to local business owners who have helped build this amazing little town only maximizes the damage that has already been done to this entire town. Because the challenges facing this town are far bigger than any one lawsuit. We have a budget to stabilize, we have infrastructure to maintain, we have a public safety facility to replace. Those are the issues that deserve our focus. What makes Black Mountain special is not Town Hall, it's our people, it's our downtown businesses, it's our entrepreneurs, workers, bartenders, volunteers, teachers, police officers, firefighters, and families. Black Mountain needs a thriving downtown, it needs restored trust, it needs accountability, and most importantly, it needs leadership that is willing to acknowledge mistakes, solve problems, and bring people together. This is not going to happen while certain members of this town staff who have created this situation without looking for meaningful solutions remain in their positions. The residents of this town are looking for hope. I am asking you to correct the mistakes of the previous administration. Give us a reason to believe that better days are ahead.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Frank Capelli. Come on now.
Good evening. My name's Frank Capelli, 1120 Montreat Road. First of all, I just want to say I'm here supporting the fire department. The fact that that's a question at this point after what we all witnessed just a couple short years ago is sad. I'm here to speak about something else. Last month I was here. I outlined documented concerns regarding a lack of transparency and retaliatory behavior by town staff. Not 40 minutes later, the planning director took over the meeting to lecture you on town council, chastise our mayor, and demand citizens be silenced in the name of decorum. The town attorney said that my comments were just one man's opinion. And I'm just here to be absolutely clear. finding official material in a deleted draft folder, mirroring known tactics used to bypass public records law. It's not an opinion. It's a liability for our town, and it demands investigation. I understand there is a knee-jerk reaction to question my credibility. For 12 years, my profession has been in the HR technology space. I advise local and state governments about HR compliance and employee misconduct. The combative treatment of local businesses and residents by the Planning and Zoning Department, it's not just one man's opinion. It's a documented pattern that we've seen. The director claimed I was attacking frontline staff. That's a deflection. The individuals I named, administrators, directors, and inspectors, wield the heavy regulatory power of Black Mountain, holding them accountable when they weaponize zoning or operate in the shadows. It's not a personal attack. It's our public's right. The staff's reaction last night proved my point. Instead of addressing the very serious questions surrounding public records management, department leadership demanded that citizens be silenced for speaking up. They're clearly more offended by accountability than the appearance of misconduct. Decorum, it is very important, but it must never be used to gag or protect government overreach. So I'm again calling on town council to authorize an independent third-party audit of the email metadata and draft folders of Jessica Trotman, Josh Harold, Michelle Kennedy, and Russell Cate. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Frank. Appreciate it. Okay, that does citizen comments. And now move on to communication from the mayor and town council. I'm going to take time to address some of the controversial issues from the past 2 weeks. All of this stemmed from the budget process that we're going through. What we have to deal with. Over the past 10 years, our town has grown about 12% to about 8,900 people. Yet a town staff that has risen by almost 50% and a budget that has ballooned close to 100%. This is not sustainable. We have to cut staff we don't need, find savings and raise some fees to eliminate the $1.8 million general fund shortfall and the $915,000 shortfall in the water fund. It is not easy to recommend getting rid of employees. There's no fun in that. I have spent hours and hours going over the budget, looking for ways to save. You elected me mayor, and with that, I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure your tax dollars are spent correctly and wisely, and to ask questions. After all this work, I wrote a 2-page letter that I shared with the board and the town manager last Monday. A, the jobs that could be cut, approximately $1 million savings. B, the savings we could achieve by better budgeting, $1.4 million, and raising fees about $450,000. If the board accepts these, you don't have to have your taxes raised. In my haste to find more savings, I did not do my due diligence with respect to the PFDs, the personal flotation devices. I did not realize the request was for type 3. I simply was just looking at a PFD, a life jacket. All I did was ask questions, whether we needed 26 at that price. I never said that we didn't need them. It's good to question what departments want. There is nothing wrong to have a request validated. And I will continue to ask questions when warranted and when I feel more scrutiny is needed. This is my duty and my right. My fellow citizens also have the right to question. But they need to stay on topic and not making unjust conclusions from just one example of where to save money. because it makes for a very hostile and confusing situation. I should have done a better job in doing the research on the PFDs. I didn't. I pledge better scrutiny in the future on any situation that's in that budget. Therefore, I will continue to work on the budget and will share with the board where we can cut to save more while supporting all our departments and especially our fire department. We have a very good fire department. We've always had a good fire department. And nothing I said was anything other than support for the fire department. But there is plenty of room and there's plenty of savings that we can still have. I just hope that the board will look at those. Town council have any comments? If not, communication from town attorney and town manager.
Nothing from the town attorney.
Okay. Richard? Okay, let's move on with consent agenda, please.
All right, your consent agenda consists of the monthly tax collector report. You have an actual resolution of support for Western North Carolina passenger rail service. You have a consideration of a budget amendment for the Black Mountain Police Department to show donations received. You have a consideration of an oak tree planting at Lake Tomahawk. You have a renewal of a shared use agreement for parking facilities at 101 West Street. And acceptance of a water line infrastructure within Sweetburg Commons for public ownership and maintenance. And the mayor will answer any questions anybody has, or those are your consent agenda items.
I've got one I would like to discuss before, and that would end up being 7D, the consideration of oak tree planting at Lake Tomahawk. Having been the gentleman who went ahead and started the tree council in Black Mountain years ago, still support planting trees. I think this is a good idea. It's the location that I have a question on. Because where it is, it's right next to the pavilion. And when there's large crowds that come to that pavilion, many times they will set up either games outside or they'll set up an extra tent over in that flat area. And so my suggestion is let's move this tree either behind the tennis court or move it on the other side of the tennis court between the tennis courts and the pool and just plant it there.
Can we have a little more context about the request and the location and who all was part of this decision for placement?
Jamie Matthews may have some additional information on it. I know Jacob, he's new, so he's kind of hit him in a cold, so he doesn't really know much about it. But
Well, can we just not put it off? I mean, there seems to be time. Time is not of the essence here, I don't think. So we could just, if the board wanted to pull that, and just get some more information before next week. I'm all for planting a tree.
That's fine, that's fine with me, just pull it and do it next month.
Okay, all right.
Good.
So,
That's fine. Need a motion or anything?
yeah, you need to have a motion for the consent agenda and
Well,
then
adopt.
deleting that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda so that now we can amend it.
Okay.
I think you want to.
No, with.
You want to amend your consent agenda to take 7D out, and then you can make a motion to approve your
Exactly.
consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the consent agenda to take the tree planting out.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Okay.
All right, now, a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we have a second public hearing, but I don't see anybody signed up for this. Wait a minute, there was, you're right.
there's no public hearing.
Jill Belowski. Oh, there you are.
Congratulations, you pronounced my name right. Most people don't.
Well, I would assume that's Slavic.
Polish.
Polish. It used to be Sobolewski.
Well, my name is Jill Belowski. I live at 64 Melissa Drive in Black Mountain. And I am one of the leaders of the freshly formed Black Mountain, North Carolina Bearwise community. I expect you'll be seeing a lot more of us at future meetings. As I was walking in, there's a young bear running around the parking lot. Thank you for recognizing the critical and urgent problem of conflicts with bears today. Thank you, Mayor Sobel, for hearing us at your May 20th meeting. I'm relieved we're moving forward toward passing long overdue ordinances to facilitate responsible human behavior and promote the safety of both our community and our treasured wildlife. I'm sure you've followed the news and social media posts about the recent killing of 5 healthy bears in Black Mountain who were killed because they were trained to find food at human homes. And you also may be aware of the public outcry that ensued. The overwhelming consensus of the commenters was that people are upset about the bear killings. They blame irresponsible human behavior, not the bears, and they want you to step up and do something about it. And this means ordinances, fines, enforcement, and definitely education, and we want to help. The blood of those healthy, young, and adult bears is on the hands of those who fed them, intentionally or unintentionally. And at the meeting Mayor Sobel called, the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission biologist, Ashley Hobbs, who oversees the Bearwise program, stated that if Black Mountain had already had ordinances in place around securing trash, these killings could have been prevented. Conflicts with bears have been increasing for years, as you know, so it could be said that the culpability for these deaths also lies with the officials who took no action to prevent them. Officials whose job it is to protect our community and perhaps even the animals on our Black Mountain stickers, t-shirts, and signs. The solution is for Black Mountain to officially become part of Bearwise, to approve the UDO when it comes back from the planning board, to require STRs to have trash containment bins that are bear-proof, and to add more ordinances to our town that protect bears and human, and to make sure there's a plan in place to enforce these ordinances. Such ordinances are long overdue, and we welcome them. Further, the fines levied against the offenders, such as the STRs, perhaps those funds could be used to buy firefighters needed equipment. I urge Black Mountain to one-up Montreat by passing restrictions on bird feeders as well. Colorado just passed a law requiring levying fines against both intentional and unintentional feedings.
Jill, we appreciate it.
Thank
That was
you.
3 minutes, and
Okay, I
And
just
by
want
the
to
way,
tell
what-
everybody that we'll have our first meeting on June 23rd at the library at 6 o'clock, and y'all can find us on Facebook at Black
and
Mountain.
what is the name of the group?
On Facebook, we're Black Mountain NC Bearwise Community.
Okay.
Thank you for
Very
your
good,
time and
thank you.
consideration.
Okay. That's, all right. Unfinished business?
All right, first item is adoption of the revised street dedication application and policy. I think we have staff to make a presentation to you on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So at last month's meeting, you all had looked at the revised street dedication application and policy, and you requested a couple of changes. So we did incorporate that. One of them was putting in here that final determination does rest with the council. And the second item we added was a kind of street inspection checklist that our fire marshal and public works director can check off that it meets the requirements. We put a section in there that can add notes if they want to, and then if they want to recommend acceptance or not, and a place for their signature. That way you know they have gone out, looked at it, it does meet the requirements that are needed. So if you approve this, we would obviously get this up on the website, get this out, get the old one down, make sure going forward, this would be what we would use.
I appreciate y'all making those updates so that we have more clarity, hopefully for us and for Joel, and more communication between the departments that are involved with this. I know one of the concerns that has been brought up with the road that we'll be talking about next on our agenda was that this was somehow busy work or something that does not actually change our process. I think it has been a meaningful collaboration to get clarity, and I appreciated our meeting last week.
One thing I just want to mention about this, that I think the board will then hear a motion and then adopt this, is that as we move forward, we have to realize that somewhere along the line, either we, the town, don't accept streets, or we're gonna have to raise taxes to maintain those streets. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, granted, a lot of these developments now won't have to have anything done for a while, but in the future, that may be something that has to be done. So, the agenda at hand here is the adoption of the revised street dedication application and policy.
I appreciate you pointing that out, Mayor, because really when it comes to discretion of the council, it is where we have that financial responsibility. And town staff are doing their job to make sure that the criteria are met, and it's our job to look at the budget and the financial considerations around all of that. I would like to make a motion that we approve.
Alex, before you do that,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I apologize. Brian, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, sorry, that you're just looking at this. Under the top part, the enumerated section, that paragraph that starts, the town will not perform any work, and then it ends in the final determination of street acceptance rests with town council.
Yeah.
I feel like our concern was with the old ordinance that it sounded more pro forma. If you do these things, the town accepts your street. Is this language strong enough to make sure that that's clarified now? Because I don't want to set unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, so town council will not perform, so you're talking about that, Ryan?
Yes, yeah.
We're not performing any work. I don't know what it said previously. I didn't look at the old ordinance, but I think when you read this on its face, it says that you're not gonna perform any work, use any labor or material, or authorize any expenditure on the improvement of or service to any street or part thereof until it has been accepted by town council.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think on its face, when I read that, it just means you're not gonna make any improvements of the street or provide any services to any part of the street. I don't know what services you provide. I think you all just pay the light bills for the street lights that may be on the. And snow plowing, yeah. So until this town, coming up next, until this town accepts the street for, into its city street system, that it says what I think you.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think Ryan is getting to is the fact that what the town, when someone comes in, a developer comes in, and we go ahead and we give them the criteria for building the roads, that just because we give them that criteria does not mean that therefore we're going to accept those roads.
That is true.
That's what I think Ryan is getting.
That's what I was trying to get.
I think it may be helpful to understand, if you're talking about a development, and they bring in a plan for that development, we're gonna expect those roads to be built to state standards.
Sure.
That has nothing to do with it being a public road. Any road, and these are private roads.
Right.
Currently would be expected to be built to those standards.
Right.
So that exists. But that is not an implication that we are at any point agreeing to take it on. It is
Right.
simply saying, as part of your, development planning process, you have to build things to applicable laws and regulations.
Absolutely, that's the intent. I just want to, I like to, when people look at these documents, I like to make it as clear as possible so they know what they're signing up for.
Yes.
And Michael's point is well taken, that we have these
very difficult budget decisions coming up in the future. And, you know, the way that it previously operated, I do think there was an expectation that it was just accepted after staff reviewed it, not.
Yeah, that was.
And I think that was, I just want that to be clear to folks when they make this application, that that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, that was before my time, so I
know.
can't really speak to it,
I think it was before a lot of our times.
But yeah, but in terms of if you came in today with a new development, whether that's gonna forever be a private road or you
Right.
hope to someday make it a public road, that's irrelevant. We expect it to be built to rules and regulations. And then when you're talking about an existing road that someone wants us to take over, that's kind of where this form comes in, to say,
Okay.
well, is this road, does it meet these things? Because you can't even consider it if it doesn't.
Yes. Are you
I'm
satisfied
good,
with that?
yes, thank you.
Great. I'll make the motion that we adopt the street dedication application and policy brought before us today.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passes.
Okay, next item is a petition to dedicate Brookhaven Drive. Mayor, you have an email from Doug Hay. Not at your desk. I don't know if you want to read that or just accept that into the minutes.
I'll read it if that's all right.
Go ahead, read it.
He writes, "Good evening, council. I apologize for being unable to attend tonight's meeting, but wanted to weigh in on the dedication request for Brookhaven Drive. After multiple rounds of discussion, I would encourage us to accept the request and take over Brookhaven Drive as a town road. I'm fully aware of the long-term costs that come with accepting new roads, and I believe we should discuss a formal moratorium on future acceptances. However, we have not done that yet, and in fact have accepted all petitions over the past few years. The residents of Brookhaven Drive built the road to our standards, passed town inspections, and submitted this request months ago. I believe it would not be right to arbitrarily make them the first denial. We should set a new policy or moratorium so that it applies to future applicants only. Please consider these thoughts when voting on tonight's motion. Thank you. Doug Haig, Town Council Member."
All right.
Michelle, you got anything else to add?
No, I would say that is certainly something that we can do, and I think that Councilmember Hay makes a good point. At some point, you have to know where one process ends and another process
Yes.
begins.
Could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, certainly. You know, you're talking about a street, well, Jennifer can speak a little bit to kind of this particular road, then I'm happy to chime in.
Yeah, so I think with this one, the developer came in and he knew eventually he would want to ask for it to be a public road. We do try to make sure we let everybody know up front that just because you want it doesn't mean it will happen, but there is a process. I would note that you all did approve the one for Cheshire, which was recommended against by staff, just because it does not meet our requirements. So, you know, with this one that meets all of the requirements, from the pavement width to the right-of-way width to the required sidewalks, it is, in all honesty, it's a pretty short road. It's a dead end. It's got a turnaround. The fire marshal did request that they do put a no parking sign in the turnaround, because that does tend to be an issue of people parking there. But they have complied with everything they needed to comply with. They've met all the requirements. They have signed a petition, and I do feel for them that they have had to kind of be kicked down the road a little bit while we straightened out the policy, and I understand that, you know, that does have to happen. But I think, given that this one meets all our requirements and that they have done what they needed to do, and
I think at this point, because we haven't changed the precedent. At this point, it would not be our recommendation, or it is our recommendation to accept this road. If it is the position of council that you would like to amend what we do moving forward or put a moratorium in place, I think that's certainly acceptable. I think, however, you can't do that when you already have one street in process. That needs to be carried to the finish line before we take that step. So it would be our recommendation that this street be accepted, and at that point, as Councilmember Hay pointed out, if it is the position of council that you all would like to place a moratorium on that, take some time, given financial constraints and all other things, certainly happy to draft the documentation needed to do that.
I'm sorry, is this the street, only street in the process at the moment?
It is the only one we have right now. And so it would be our recommendation that if this is, whatever decision is made tonight, that a decision, if there is to be a moratorium, you might want to do that sooner rather than later, so as not to bring others into the process and find ourselves in this place again.
That's
I think we
where
should
I'm
go
at.
ahead and do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Move forward with looking at that.
So we're at a point of accepting or not accepting this street, and then hopefully talking about a moratorium.
That's where my thinking
That's
is.
where mine
I
is.
am curious if we could request that for July.
Yeah, absolutely. We can have that ready for July.
And it would be my preference that that be a one-year moratorium, kind of along with our fiscal year.
At least.
So that, a year from now.
We can
perhaps-
revisit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to go ahead and, if you're finished, make a motion to accept the Brookhaven Drive and subsequent sidewalk to the town for maintenance and public use.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes.
Do you need any further direction on that?
I just need some direction on the moratorium from you all, if you could do that.
Sure.
I think it can be by consensus, right? That they're
Yeah,
just.
we don't have to vote on it.
Yeah, no, I was just looking, 160D 107 talks about moratoriums, and it says, as provided in this section, local governments may adopt temporary moratoria on any development approval required by law, except for the purpose of developing and adopting new or amended plans or development regulations governing residential uses.
I think maybe the catch on this, we had some conversations with Craig early on about this, because we're in the middle of updating our UDO. We had talked about some other things to press pause on while we work through the process of finalizing the UDO. If we aren't able to do a moratorium, we can certainly take a look at whether there's language that's possible that says, we can add language as it relates to the fiscal ability of the town to take over additional roads or things of that nature.
All I'm saying is I don't want it to interfere with any new or amended plans or development regulations governing residential use.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we'll work with you and Craig to draft the specific language that
Yeah,
keeps us out of
it'll
trouble.
probably be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Just wanted to put that out there if the consensus
Yeah,
is to
thank
look
you.
at it, make sure we don't interfere, make
Sure.
sure we don't violate 160D 107.
No, let's follow the
Sounds
law.
like a good idea.
Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, you were talking about, Al, you were saying maybe a year.
That would be my preference, but I don't know where other folks are at, and maybe you want to put together other options based on kind of the capacity we have. for
If you would like
moratoriums.
us to put together a potential moratorium plan in consultation with the town attorney to bring to you in July, that may be the best way to do that.
That sounds
Is that
great.
consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
All right, next item is a proposal for Black Mountain Avenue and Second Avenue, which will be the intersection improvements, but safety, we brought you a proposal, I think, a couple meetings ago for a professional study on this intersection that council, asked staff to take a look at it first, and myself, Michelle, fire chief, police chief got together. We came up with a few recommendations. We're not traffic consultants, so there were some limited what we could recommend for traffic safety and everything. So Michelle's gonna
Yeah.
go through the actual ideas we came up with that day, so.
We had a conversation, obviously, looking at low-cost, kind of immediate operational improvements that wouldn't rise to the level of requiring traffic engineering. And so the items that we identified, and I think you all have the packets in front of you, so if you don't have something, tell me. We talked about some low-hanging fruit that we can do to kind of calm things in that area. The first one would be pedestrian enhancements, which include repainting of the markings and sign bars to increase visibility and pedestrian safety. The second is traffic calming, so painting the curb extensions with high visibility striping, and to also reduce the width of the travel lane on Black Mountain Avenue. It kind of has that just open area and the paint's kind of wearing off. So making that more visible and more easy to see. We also discussed updating the signage and the yield installation on Black Mountain Avenue. So we need to install no stopping on track signage anyway. Earlier today, we had a small train come through and it gets a little tricky. So we need that anyway. And then increasing the yield signage on Black Mountain Avenue, just because, you know, if you use that road every day, you may know it, but so many people in our community don't.
It's a weird one.
It's really odd.
Just push back.
Yeah. The other recommendation that we made was a three-way stop installation, so stop signs at all the intersection entrances, with the exception of Black Mountain Avenue. Black Mountain Avenue would be a yield to the right. With an installation of new stop signs, our stop signs could use some better visibility there, and the installation of stop sign notification signage and public notification changes to be updated via town communication portals. So we would really broadly out to the community say, hey, you know, here are the things coming down the pipe, and really doing these really low level, really about visibility things. At this point, you know, given our current financial situation, the four of us agree these are probably, as we are not traffic engineers, this probably keeps us out of, you know, any issue like that, but certainly would improve the safety in that area for both pedestrians, train safety, and just general traffic. So those would be our recommendations, and then I think you have the information related to the Teague study.
Yes, so then, go ahead.
One of the things I've noticed here is that as we're moving more and more towards roundabouts, that certainly is an ideal situation for a roundabout.
Yeah.
But there again, that's more money.
Got to pay for that roundabout.
So right now, the best way to go ahead and approach and resolve the issue and to keep us out of Dutch, put up the 4 stop signs, put up the yield sign.
I'm in favor of everything you've recommended.
We view these as really inexpensive, comparatively speaking, and something that can be done almost exclusively by town staff, and quickly. So.
And so this would eliminate the need for the $4,500 engineering study.
Yeah,
Correct.
Down the road, if we want to talk about traffic circles, certainly we can have that conversation then, but at this point, that was the recommendation of your senior leadership.
I hear a motion.
I'll move that council authorize the interim town manager to execute task order number 1. No.
No. That should not be on there. If you make a motion for us.
Curious.
We will not do that.
If you make a motion for us to move forward with the improvements
That's what we're gonna do.
we listed.
We're gonna make a motion,
Archie, before you make that, I just want to, Michelle,
Yeah.
just looking at the diagram here, where we're putting the no stopping on track sign. Are we talking about marking down on that part of Black Mountain Avenue as well, kind of like we do on the
Yes.
other side, so that people know, don't go past here?
Yeah,
Okay.
you really need to stop back here.
Okay, good.
Yes.
All right.
And again,
I just didn't see it on
these
there,
are
so I'm
small things, but we think would be really impactful.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
I agree with you. And this looks great. I really
Great.
appreciate all you guys have done.
Did you make it?
make a motion, that, the improvements that have been made with the 4 stop signs and the yield sign and the markings, on the road to move forward.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next item is the discussion of your lower watershed dam. I think we talked about that at your last meeting, and the council's approach at that time was to do nothing.
Explore doing nothing.
So I think Matt's got some additional information. He's been working with our engineering firm on that project, so Matt.
Yeah, we also had to make sure we caught FEMA and said we were just exploring doing nothing, because they heard doing nothing and then ran with it a little bit before we were like, no. So, going back to the previous discussion, we had discussed doing the dam breaching as an alternative with small projects under $1 million. FEMA sort of incentivizes you to save some money on that. And so they base all of their costs that they give you based on estimated costs for the scope of work that they outline as the repair work. If you can figure out a way that does the repair that is different than the scope of work that they have, and you negotiate that, or you can do it for less money, they're always happy to have you do it for less money, and you can use that funding for other projects. Because they base things on estimated costs for those projects under $1 million, generally their estimates don't work in your favor. And generally they're slightly underestimated based on the actual costs of getting the work done. So for this one, we had given the engineers what FEMA had said the damages were and asked them to come up with a cost estimate for repairing those and make sure that those were all of the damages at the lower watershed dam. And they came back to us and said, based on the size of the dam, you don't necessarily need to repair this because the dam currently serves very little purpose as far as we don't use it for drinking water. It isn't really effective as a stormwater control measure more than just having the river flow freely there. So they said it's lower than the regulations on decommissioning. You could decommission it and propose that to FEMA as a lower cost measure than what they had originally said. So I went back to the engineers and explored the no-cost alternative, and I included that as an attachment in the agenda packet. The one thing to consider for the doing nothing alternative is that if you do nothing on a FEMA project, FEMA wants all of their money back because you didn't do anything on the project. So that's one consideration there. So right now the engineers have done about $10,000 worth of initial damage assessments, site visits, exploring alternatives, and writing up the draft comparing the scope to what FEMA had said. So if we do nothing, the town is responsible for that $10,000, whereas FEMA would be responsible for it if we continued as a project. So that's one consideration. Another one is continued damage in that site area. So if you left it the way it is, eventually with the damage that's already there, you'd have more intrusion under the slab where it currently sits, and possibly more tree debris and trees downed in that area as well.
What do you recommend?
I would say from my perspective, exploring that alternative of possibly doing it for cheaper than FEMA has given you the cost estimate for would be something that would be worth considering.
And that's the decommission?
Yes.
Or a partial repair?
I would say either one of those would be worth exploring.
It doesn't matter to you which one we choose?
I think,
Which one do you think is the best?
I would say long-term decommissioning would definitely be something to explore just because you have one less asset to maintain.
That's my preference. It feels silly to repair something that we don't need and we're not gonna use. And I'd like nature to kind of get to do its thing in a safe way over there.
Mayor, do we need a motion for Matt to move forward on that?
I think we do, because obviously it involves some money here, and if we don't do anything, if we're gonna be paying money, this way we may get some money back.
Exactly.
Do I have a motion?
Motion for Matt for staff to continue on with exploring the cost of decommissioning.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
All right, moving on to new business, is discussion of possible bear-related action plans, and the mayor asked for this to be placed on the agenda, so.
The meeting that we held during the month of May was well attended. Probably about 35 folks came to the library and offered lots of ideas and discussions, and in speaking with Ashley, she has gone ahead and put these ordinances in here. This is something that Wesley got for us. And I would hope that we would be able to do one thing tonight, and that is, at least if we did not pass and get these ordinances, at least get a resolution in here that we are behind the idea here, and that we would form a committee. And it looks like Jill's already got a committee, and I don't know whether or not we need to form a committee through the town, like we have with the recreation and everything, to deal with this. I think it would be good for us to do it. It's nice for them to go out on their own, but I think if we're really going to try to enforce this stuff, then we have to have some control over it.
I think that's right.
And I think that a committee would be a way to do it. Now, we don't have to form the committee tonight, other than the fact that maybe just have staff come back with an idea of the numbers, either 5 or 7. I don't think you need more than that.
I would think that's great.
And then also too, refine these down to fit Black Mountain. This resolution, not that. The ones that you have here.
The one from, well,
The ones
we have
from
the
Mayor
ordinances
Wise.
from Highland, and then we have Highlands, and then we have the Montreat ordinances.
Yeah, so that
Are
we
you
need,
referring to those?
that's what I'm referring to. And then let staff go ahead and put those together and bring that back at the July meeting for us to adopt.
Sounds fine.
assuming that's us, that you want.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that falls under planning.
Yeah, it's weird, but I think it probably does. I think that's fine. So, sorry, I was coming back in when I realized where we were. So taking a look at the ones that you have and then paring those down for Black Mountain, is that what you said?
I mean, I would say they're quite different. So maybe,
We can put together
I think
some
both of them are
options,
great,
yeah.
but some.
It's
other
Highland
options.
and Highlands and which other one?
It's the board
Montreat
change.
ordinance.
Except the board, the mama self would make it as strict as possible.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
And have staff come back with a policy on an advisory board or.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to explore a task force. This to me is something that, I mean, maybe we find that we do need an ongoing commission, but this could be more of a task force to set this up and advise, and it could become a commission later on, but it
Yeah,
feels
it-
like more of an onboarding and
It
education
could certainly be ad hoc right
process.
now
Okay.
to start to pull it together just in an advisory capacity and go from there. We can get some things together. I'm assuming you want this sooner rather than later, so you're looking at July, you'd like to.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Because see, Jill says she's got that meeting at Black Mountain Library, June the 23rd.
Okay.
And I would hope council members could show up there too.
What time is that?
6 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
All right, good enough.
Next item is authorization for staff to pursue an orderly abatement. Jill, I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, the short version is we have a situation that began with an anonymous complaint in July of 2025 that there were storage units parked beyond the 120-day allowable limit on the property at 19 Timber Park Drive. Over the course of I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version, happy to answer questions. Over the course of the last 11 months, there's been a lot of communication to try to get those removed, to bring the property back into compliance. And essentially, what is before you today is the request to allow us to move forward with an order of abatement for both the fees and fines related to this and the removal of the containers. And as of this morning, we went by to see if the situation had been resolved, and it has not. And I will say that one of the reasons this becomes one of those things of, you have people that have had shipping containers that followed the regulations that we have in place, and you have a few properties that haven't, and this is one of the ones that hasn't. But again, this has been going on since July of last year, with no curing of the violation, and so we've kind of run out of real estate. And if we're not going to continue to enforce this, then we probably need to look at an ordinance change that would allow it. So we're either at a place of we need to move forward with addressing it, or you all need to make a consideration about changing what our ordinances read as.
Unfortunate
board's pleasure.
situation, I think we need to stick with what our ordinances say we do, and really was hoping for a resolution other than that.
Same.
It would, yes, it would come to, it'd probably go to Craig, you'd be talking to Craig about it, but it can be filed along with trying to collect the fines that may be outstanding, if there are any. I think there's a significant amount.
$500, yeah.
And it also can go along with an injunction. The statute for enforcement of ordinances contemplates running an abatement order together with an injunction. You don't have to, but it contemplates. So they would be enjoined from keeping that storage trailer on their property, and then if they don't do it after a certain number of days, of course, we give them 30 days to remove it, then the order of abatement kicks in. The town can go remove it, and then the cost associated with that becomes a lien on the property. I mean, that's just the way the statute reads.
You know, and this is certainly not something anybody ever wants to have to do. Abatement is not something that we ever seek to do, but the reality is, you know, we can't treat one property owner different than we treat another property owner, so.
So there's a reason that you have it in the zoning ordinance.
That's right.
Abatement just means that the town, if it's not removed within 30 days or something, the town will do it.
That's right. Yep, it does. I was just trying to
And
look for it.
if we remove it, we have to take it to a secure location, ensure that anything inside it has been fully inventoried. It's depending on what's in it, it can be expensive, but ensure that you're safeguarding it.
Yeah. An order of abatement may direct that the buildings or other structures on the property be closed, demolished, or removed, that the fixture, furniture, or other movable property be removed from the building on the property. So we would just have to comply with the statute as to when the court says you've got this order of abatement. If they don't adhere to the injunction, then we've got to follow the next step in the statute.
And standard practice would be if that 30-day passes and nothing has happened on day 31, we would be removing the containers.
It says that you can bring the person in, the property owner in for contempt. You know.
I've never done that in my career. I've had to do abatement several times, but I think that's in extreme cases.
Yeah, I'm just saying, the statute contemplates that you do that too if they don't. So.
Well, and I think that it's, considering how that we will be hopefully passing some resolutions and ordinances regarding the bears, the fines, we need to stick to our guns.
Yeah, I mean, I think
because you get some, well, I didn't really mean to, no, here it is.
I
You
think-
violated it, this is the fine.
I think the reality is ordinances without teeth are useless. There's no point in having them on the books.
All right.
I'd like to move to authorize staff to proceed with obtaining an order of abatement to remove the illegal storage containers and to collect the incurred fines through debt collection, 19 Timber Park Drive, pursuant to the town's land use code, section 1.11.
Okay, any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next item, we have a proposal from CES Engineering Group. The town has gotten a $500,000 loan from DEQ to do your first phase of the lead and copper evaluation of the town's customers. The town did an RFQ for firms to do that work. The company that was chosen is CES Engineers Group, and Scott has been working with them on trying to get that project moving forward, and getting DEQ approval and getting LGC approval. So I'll let Scott update you on it.
Well, Richard pretty much just laid it out in a nutshell. This project
as I understand, it's been in the works for almost 2 years now. The lead and copper testing program has been around for much longer than that, but this requirement is fairly new. We are required to survey all of the service lines for our water customers for the presence of lead or copper.
And may I add, we're not being singled out with this
No,
requirement.
that's every,
Okay.
that's every water system, yeah, well, not just in North Carolina, in the
In the
United
country.
States, yeah.
This is the federal.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes,
This, we have not, it's not penalty or something. Yeah.
right. As I said, this has been in the works for quite some time. The town received approval from the local government commission to borrow the money for the survey back in, I think, September of 2024. And I don't think I have to remind you guys what happened very shortly after that. This project was obviously not the highest priority, but at Mr. Hicks' request, or perhaps it wasn't a request, I tried to put this back in motion. It's a $500,000 loan. It's not a grant from the state revolving fund. And I'm just here to tell you that will do approximately 1/3 of your service lines. So at some point in the future, you will have to identify funding to do the others.
Now, it is my understanding that some of them we do know because of the date of,
There are some that are much
Development.
more likely because of the date that they were installed,
right,
yes.
I wanna say I remember something like 20% have been done since the 80s, and so we can kind of anticipate that those lines would not be affected, and,
Yes, I think that's absolutely accurate,
Okay.
and staff would, in my opinion, want to work with the firm to identify what are your highest priority facilities, your schools, any medical facilities, any high usage areas, so that we, those are identified first. But again, this is just to identify, it is not to replace anything.
And I know that as you said, it would be 1/3, because when you look at $300, and we have approximately 4,000, really we got more than 4,000.
Yes.
That's 1.2 million.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's without traffic control.
Yes, sir.
That's without the other items, so. My main question is, this has come down from the federal government, and of course, it's come to the states, and then the state has to implement it.
Correct.
The requirements from the government, from the feds. I had heard that we were supposed to be filing something this fall, somewhere in November, that we had to give a tally. Is there time constraints on when we have to give tallies, and also as to the percentage of the meters that have been read? Such that, do we have 5 years and can do 20% of the meters a year?
I have not seen it identified in that specific timeframe. I know that the funding that we're getting from the state revolving fund, there is a requirement that all funds must be expended prior to December 31st, 2027. And the contractor has assured me that they would be able to be complete well before that time period. But to answer your
I
question,
think that it's incumbent on this council to know, because if that's the case, we may not have to do as many as we think that we got to do. If we've only got to do 10%, well, all right, then it's not gonna cost us quite as much. We don't need to borrow quite as much. We only did 10%, and you did 10% next year, and then 10% in 27. That's a whole lot less that we would have to borrow, if in fact that is what the law says. I think we need to know exactly what we are burdened to do. Can you find that out?
I will certainly try. I would say the sooner we can get moving the more advantageous it will be for the town.
I'm not saying that we don't move on it. I'm just trying to say, once this company begins, then if we were gonna be looking to try to do 30% this year, we may not only have to do 10%. I'm just trying to conserve dollars.
I might keep in mind also that you have a loan at 0% interest. So if you don't spend all of it before 2027, they take that money back. Next time you go to borrow money, you may have interest payments.
But we've got a lot of time in between. I mean, again, time is not of the essence of, to get something going, yes. To try to burden this gentleman, say that we want you to do 2,000. No,
Mayor, what would
just-
be your preference, that we revisit this next month, or what's
No,
your?
I think we need to
we
get
said
going.
Go ahead and get going,
We need to get going.
but just get that
But
information.
we can dictate to that company how fast we wish them to move.
I see, okay. You're
Because,
okay with
because,
the
because they're
presentation
going as
is.
a per unit item.
I see.
That's what I was thinking it would be. And then you'll be able to find out whether it's next month or the month after, more details on this is exactly. Because, I mean, this whole program, not that I'm trying to figure out a bit better what they do in Washington, but, you know, I mean, I could understand maybe on the street side, but, and then on the consumer side, why would we be burdened with that? That's not up to us, that's up to the homeowner. Anyway, my thoughts. So, do we have a motion to accept this?
Well, I'm not sure how you wanted to, what kind of motion you're looking for, because this is to proceed with the project. So we want to, what you're suggesting is to proceed with a project, but limit the scope at this point in time.
Well, proceed with the project with the 500, okay. But then, we're not gonna try to get it all done this year or next year. So it's gonna be, my feeling is we need to slow it down as much as we can,
There's no
within the
reason,
limit of the law.
no reason not to.
Right.
Because if we come back and we get clarity on what we're supposed to do, then
Yeah.
fine. 500 homes, is that what you're saying? Proceed with the project, limited scope, 500 homes at this point in time.
I doubt if they could do 500 between now and the fall. But that sounds fine.
Is that good?
The proposal as it stands is for them to begin on or after July 1, so that it's into our next fiscal year, and then to be complete by October 31 of 2027. So it's going to be something of a deliberate process.
Could we addend later on to lengthen that time frame for them?
Well, just remember that all the funding has to be expended prior to the end of December of 2027. So I asked the contractor, the engineering firm, to amend the proposal to put an end date of October 31, 27, thereby giving ample amount of time to get any of the funding submittals to the local government commission, so make sure the town is being made full.
So Scott, does that work if we proceed, limit the scope at this point in time to 500 homes? Does that work?
Was it 500 homes or to the 500,000?
To the 500,000.
To the 500,000. Yeah. Yes, that's all you're being asked to approve.
Yes, so just to proceed with this, and then in the interim, we'll try to find out some more information about how we proceed forward on the other 2/3.
And what we are required to do. When all the homes have to be done, does it have to be done by 2027? Does it have to be done by 2035?
Understand.
Because right now, we don't know, or else I don't know. All right, do I hear a motion?
I thought I made one.
Oh, excuse me. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right, next item is the consideration of a contract extension with McAdams Company, which does traffic planning and design work for the town. That current agreement expires, and we're just asking that you extend that through June 30th of 2029. Again, they just don't call if we need them, they're there, but they don't do anything unless we call them. So that's something
cost us anything until we call it. Make a motion to approve.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
It doesn't cost anything, it's a little bit easier to deal with, isn't it?
All right, next item is discussion, planning board member term for UDO. Jill, you still out there? Two of yours anyway.
I didn't know that was done. Well, we've already got one volunteer for the Bear Advisory Committee, that's what we were doing, sorry.
Very good, very good.
Jennifer.
So as you all know, our UDO process has been going on for quite some time. And our planning board members, there are 4 of them that have been very gracious and have served, I believe at this point, 2 extra years to try to see this process through. All 4 have agreed to serve 1 additional year. We do, fingers crossed, plan on getting this UDO done by the end of the year. And we do have 1 vacancy because we did have 1 member resign due to family issues. But if you all would consider letting these 4 stay 1 more year so they can finish out this project and see their hard work come to fruition, we would greatly appreciate that. And like I said, all 4 have agreed to serve 1 more year.
And the planning board is a tough body to fill with people that are kind of clued into what's going on. So to expect new folks to fall in the middle of a UDO process is not ideal. So it would really be beneficial to us. I think it would be beneficial to the people who've given so much of their time and their effort to this point to finish it out. We have spoken with Craig around his availability, and he believes he will have the availability to get that done in the time that he discussed with this body of folks, so that's our recommendation.
Have we been, has there been times that the planning board could not meet and discuss this because of absence of the attorney?
No, there have been times that the planning board couldn't meet because we didn't have quorum, or times that the zoning board couldn't make a decision because we didn't have quorum. But we haven't had an issue related to the attorney meeting with the planning board.
Just asking the question.
So you're asking for a motion that Joe Laudenslayer, Pam Norton, and LaRonda Teeple be, they have a 1-year term.
And Chris Collins.
Well, since Chris Collins stated he would like to rotate off.
Our summary is different than what you have shared.
Yeah, that has changed
Oh,
since.
sorry, yes,
So Chris is
yes, Chris has reconsidered.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Chris would be willing to serve 1 more year.
So that's the motion for those
Yes.
3 plus Chris Collins to extend an additional
1
1
year.
year term.
Yes.
I would make that motion.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for y'all's work and the planning board's work, and I know maybe it's not a labor of love, but more of a blood, sweat, and tears kind of situation at this point. I did want to check in and just see, do we have any issues with the way the planning board is structured in terms of people having limits on how long they can serve? Can we have this council override if people are willing? Not against their will to stay, but to see this project through, or do we need to make them some kind of separate membership status?
No, I think it's just an extension beyond their term.
Okay.
And to be clear, we don't have a list of other people that were lined up to join the planning board who we're taking this opportunity from. So
Understood. I
it
do
serves
wanna be
both,
bench,
it
though.
serves both
Okay.
purposes.
Okay. I think that's great. I've talked with Craig about this quite a bit and making sure that we have a realistic time frame that works with y'all, and what works for staff. And I was grateful to get to be at that meeting and talk to most everyone on the planning board afterward to make sure we're all good and no one's steaming at the ears about this. So, yeah, I think it would be great to move forward. So thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks.
So DFI, if anybody doesn't know, is connected to the UNC School of Government, and they really are kind of the leaders in municipal partnership around taking a look at redevelopment feasibility. They are currently in a partnership with DEQ related to brownfields post-Helene. I had the opportunity in my prior position to do a lot of work with DFI. They're an outstanding group of folks. And so they reached out and said, hey, we've got this money, won't cost the town a dime. We are looking for partners that we know we can work with and get this moving with, and we'd like to come to Black Mountain. So essentially what they do is they really take a look at ways that you can do redevelopment with public-private investment. And in a moment, particularly like we're in right now, where we have some significant financial constraints, taking a look at opportunities for brownfields reinvestment or redevelopment with public-private partnership is very appealing. We don't have to do anything. They do a ton of analysis, and a lot of those analyses, once they're done, you end up using in lots of different areas of your work that really don't necessarily have to do with a specific site or location. It may be, as part of their evaluation, they've determined opportunities for mixed-use development, or opportunities to bring in a private partner for this or for that. The two sites that Matt and I looked at together with them, just to give them some idea of kind of the landscape that we have, were the public safety building and the public services building. Both of those are large parcels. Both of those have a lot of issues and will require significant investment to bring back to their highest potential. So what happens is they'll come in and do these kind of analyses for us, and all the scope of services is on the back of this, and I'm happy to go through it. But basically, they're just trying to come in, help us identify potential strategies for redevelopment. We can do all of those, we can do none of those. It will come down to what makes sense for us. But the capacity of that group is one that I would never turn away. And the fact that there's $0 of ours being spent on this is something that I can't recommend highly enough. They estimate it would take 6 to 9 months to go through this process with us, which I think is right in time as we look at the public safety building and the public services building and some other locations around town. So our recommendation is to accept the offer from DFI and DEQ to participate in the DEQ Brownfields redevelopment post-Helene process.
Okay. I hear a motion.
So moved.
Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Alright, awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're at the end, and I'm gonna go ahead and call for a 5-minute recess before we go into closed session. So 5 minutes, and then we'll come back here.
Do we need to add that to the agenda? We don't have one on the agenda.
Closed
Are we
session.
having a closed session?
It should be on.
Closed session.
Oh, we typically have which one we're going with? Okay.
Well, it's personnel.
Sure.
Okay, 5-minute adjournment. If anybody wishes to speak to the mayor about situations, I'm here to talk to them.